In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a two-way sync between Jira and Asana. This is going to simplify your team's process. So if you have team members that are working in two different tools, I'm going to show you how easy and seamless it is to get these tools to talk to each other so that your team members can work natively in whatever tool they want and don't have to duplicate data. And I'm going to show you just how easy it is to synchronize all this information. It's super awesome, super easy, and it's only going to take a few steps. Now, before I show you how this thing all comes together, let me show you a demonstration of it actually working. And before I even do that, I want to remind you to make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this video, and most importantly, I got a link down in the description where you're going to be redirected to Unito site so you can start your free trial to this amazing platform. Now let me show you how this thing all works once it's all configured. So if your teams are working in both Asana and Jira, then you most likely know what a pain it is to need to share information manually across these two different tools. And what you're seeing here is Unito's Jira's two-way sync. While this tool provides a two-way sync with a variety of other tools as well, today we're going to be focusing on Jira and Asana and get those talking together in just 5 easy steps. So now that you know what it looks like, let me show you how easy it is to configure this. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click on that link down in the description or just go to unito.io and you're going to want to try it for free. Make sure you make your account, do the login, all the good stuff there. And then you're going to be taken to this window where you're going to be able to create your very first connection. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to click on create flow here. And then we're going to select step 1, which is connect your tools. We're going to click on start here. And the thing that we do here is we're going to select the two tools that we want to work together. So on the left-hand side, because Jira is my favorite, I'm going to select Jira. And then you're going to connect. So you can click on this connect a Jira cloud account. You're going to be prompted to authenticate and log into Jira. I've already done that, so I just got to click on my name. And then you got to pick your project. Now, pro tip here, you should know what your project name is because it doesn't show you like a list of all the available projects. So you do need to know which project you want to connect with. So once you have your Jira done, we're going to do the exact same thing, but for Asana this time. So over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to click on add a tool to this flow. This time, I'm going to click on Asana. I'm going to click on this connect with the account. Again, if you don't or haven't done this before, you're going to want to click on Asana account first, do the login, do all the authentication there, come back. You're going to be able to click your account. And then we're going to choose our project over here. So I'm going to type in Jira. I have a Jira killer project because, Asana's always tries to be the Jira killer, but it's not. Jira's still the best. And we're going to click on confirm. Once you have that, we're moving on to step 2, which is, okay, so how do I want this data to be synced? Do I want it one way, which means everything inside of Jira goes to Asana, but that's it, it stops there? Or do I want everything Asana to come into Jira and that's it? That might be your use cases, but the most common use case that I see is we want it to go both ways. We want any updates in Jira to reflect inside of Asana and any updates in Asana to automatically update inside of Jira. So in order to do that, we're just going to click this bidirectional arrow and click on confirm. But again, you really should select whatever makes sense for you and your business. And now we enter step number 3, which is really the most fun step here. This step is going to require you to do a little bit of thinking and processing and maybe some architecture work. Because in this step, this is where we're going to figure out, okay, so now that we got the two tools talking to each other, what do we want to send across the wire? And so first we're going to configure the Jira to Asana. And what this does is it's going to say, okay, so from that project we selected, anything that's created after today's date, we're going to then basically take that item that's inside of Jira and we're going to send it to Asana. And the only thing I'm going to do is leave the defaults, which is basically just create the item in Asana and set it to the status of to do. Now you do have the ability to create new rules. So if you didn't want to just accept this, right? Let's say you wanted to only bring like the bugs. Well, you can click on add a new rule. You can select your field here. You can find your issue type field. So we can come down here, find issue type. And here we go. We'll select that. And then here you could put in something like bug, and then only those bugs that were created after this date would be sent over. Now for this demo, I just want to show you how easy it is to send everything. And I'm not going to put any extra restrictions, but you do have the ability to put in and just bring in whatever makes sense for you. So maybe you want to bring in specific issue types. Maybe you want to bring in specific labels, right? It's up to you, but this is really where you have a little bit of creativity and a whole lot of configurations to do on your end, just to make sure you tweak it just right, because you don't want to bring everything, right? Well, I mean, maybe you do. It really just depends on your business case In my example, I just want to bring it all. But in the real world, you probably want to add a couple of restrictions here, a couple of rules, and a couple of actions just to make sure you only do what you're supposed to do for you and your team's needs. Okay, so that's the rules. On the actions, very similar. We are gonna just basically create something and put it into the status of to do, but you could also set like the status if you wanted to something else. You can change like the due date or set the assignee. It's really up to you. Now I'm just gonna accept the defaults because whatever's in Jira, I just want it to show up inside of Asana. Now down here, we are going to do the reverse. So when we're working inside of Asana and we want to move things into Jira, what items should be brought over? So very similarly, you can select the fields for specific rules, and then you can set specific values as an action. Now again, I'm just going to accept the defaults and click on confirm. And I recommend that if this is the first time you're doing this, I would probably leave it alone as well and try it out. And then if it's not quite what you were expecting, come back in because you can always edit all these steps. Now, the mapping of the fields. This is going to be step 4, and this can be done manually, which is a little bit harder, or it can just be done automatically, in which case the tool is going to do it all for us. And you all know that I'm going to pick automatically. So what this is doing, it's going in and it's just going to find all the fields that are inside of Jira, all the fields that are inside Asana, and then it's going to go, well, what do you want? Because sometimes you're going to have a mixed match and sometimes they're going to be a perfect match. And so this is really where you kind of just have to sit down with your stakeholders and figure it out. Now, everything should be bi-directional except for, of course, if there's fields that are specific to Jira that are not in Asana or vice versa. As you can see here, my sprint start date is a Jira only field, but it doesn't exist inside of Asana. So Asana is going to say, hey, well, do you want me to bring it as a start date? You can do that. You can change it to a different field, or you can just delete it altogether. It's up to you and whatever you want to do. And so I encourage you to go through this list because as you can see, 12 out of 35 fields were mapped and 12 out of 20 in Asana were mapped. So again, sit down with your stakeholders and really figure out what fields make sense, which fields are critical, which ones are not, what data do you want to bring over, and do the mapping here. Once you have this perfect, again, I'm just going to accept the defaults, click on confirm, and we're ready to go to step 5, which is to launch your flow. So I'm going to click on continue. This is basically going to kick off the whole thing, make it all happen. And so we're going to click on launch flow and everything's just going to magically work going forward. So now we get to go back to that beginning of this video, which is the demonstration. And I'm going to prove to you that this synchronization actually works. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go into Jira. I'm going to create something, and then we're going to see it go over to Asana. And then I'm going to go into Asana. I'm going to create something over there, and I'm going to show it to you inside of Jira. So this whole two-way sync is going to be super easy. So let's take a look inside of Jira. Now, this step is very critical. You want to go to the project that we said we wanted to do. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to look for my project. All right, here's my ApeTech ARN demo. So I'm going to click into that. I'm going to go to the list view, which is probably the easiest view to do this. Inside of Jira, I'm going to create a task. This is a task for Asana. 3 exclamation marks because a lot of emphasis. And I'm going to hit create. So this task is officially created inside of Jira. Over on the Unito app, a sync is going to be initiated and it's going to start syncing, as you can see here. Once the sync is done, we can go over to Asana and you're going to see that the task is now here. Now, because this is a bidirectional sync, I am now going to add a comment in this side, on the Asana side. I'm going to show you what it looks like when it goes over to Jira. So I'm just going to open up this task. I'm going to come down to the comments. This is my first synced comment. I'm going to click on comment. And just like we did earlier, Unito is going to pick up this change. It's going to start syncing, and then it's going to come over to Jira. So let's look at that. I'm going to do a quick refresh. Then I'm going to open up this task. And all the way at the bottom, here is a synced comment from Asana. You can see it's very, very simple to get these creations going. And it is so much better than duplicating your data. And it's so much faster than having to manually recreate these, because a lot of teams try to save a little bit of money by doing this manually, but it's error prone, it's time consuming, and investing in a tool like Unito is going to be so much better. And it's just going to be such a better experience, not only for you as an admin, but for your entire team. And it's just going to bring those 2 different sources of truth. It's going to unify them. It's going to create a seamless experience, and your teams are just going to be operating at such a higher efficiency. So make sure you click on that link down in the description down below so that you can also get started with Unito. Trust me when I tell you, you're not going to regret this. Really, really great experience. Very easy to get configured, and your teams are just going to love having this information very instantly and automatically handled for them. That's it for this video. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you drop a like, and go show Unito some love and start a free trial to their app today. That's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one.